Final update. I paid rent to my parents since I was 18, even through college. Then my golden child brother moved back in rent-free with his wife and kids. Suddenly, my mom asked me to pay more. What she said next left me speechless. Part 2. Family doesn't punish one child for another's mistakes, and family definitely doesn't demand more from the responsible kid to cover for the irresponsible one. Mom's smile faltered. She looked confused, like she was suddenly realizing this conversation wasn't going the way she expected. Ethan, what are you talking about? She asked, her voice now laced with irritation. I'm talking about fairness, Mom, I said, finally letting all the bottled-up resentment pour out. I'm talking about how I've been paying rent since I was 18 years old, while Mark has never paid a dime. I'm talking about how I've been busting my butt to save money for my future, while Mark is. Well, Mark is Mark. And now you want me to pay more because he messed up again, because he moved back in and is freeloading off of you? No, absolutely not. Silence descended in the living room. Dad looked like he was trying to disappear into the armchair, and Mom's face was turning a shade of red that I usually only saw when she was about to unleash a truly epic lecture. Ethan, you are being incredibly selfish right now, she said, her voice dangerously low. Your brother needs our help, and we need yours. No, Mom, I said, standing up. My legs felt shaky, but my resolve hardened with every word. Mark needs help, you and Dad need to stop enabling him, and I need to stop letting you walk all over me. I took a deep breath. This was it, the point of no return. I'm not paying an extra $300 a month, I said, my voice clear and firm. In fact, I'm not paying any rent at all anymore. Mom gasped, actually gasped, like I just slapped her across the face. Ethan, how dare you? No, Mom, I repeated, shaking my head. How dare you? How dare you expect me to subsidize Mark's lifestyle? How dare you treat me like a bank account instead of your son? We've always provided for you, Ethan, she sputtered, her voice rising to a near shriek. We've always loved you. Loved me? I scoffed, the word tasted bitter in my mouth. Loved me like you love Mark? Is that what you call love, Mom? Because it feels a whole lot more like exploitation. I didn't wait for her to respond. I just turned and walked out of the living room, heading straight for my bedroom. I slammed the door shut behind me, leaning against it, my chest heaved, and my hands shook. That night, I barely slept. My mind was racing, replaying the conversation over and over again. Had I gone too far? Had I been too harsh? Maybe $300 wasn't that much extra. Maybe I should just suck it up and pay it to keep the peace. But then another voice, a stronger, clearer voice, whispered in my head, no, enough is enough. You've been paying your dues for years. You deserve better than this. You deserve to be treated fairly. You deserve to be respected. And that's when I made my decision. If they wanted to treat me like a freeloader for refusing to pay even more rent while Mark and his family lived there for free, then fine, I'd show them what a real freeloader looked like. The next morning, I started packing secretly, of course. I boxed up my clothes, my books, my computer, all the essentials. I moved them out little by little, stashed boxes in my car trunk and taking loads over to my friend Liam's place, where he'd offered to let me crash for a bit. It took me a few days, moving stuff in small increments, being careful not to arouse suspicion. Mom and Dad were giving me the silent treatment, which honestly was a blessing in disguise. Mark and Sarah were too preoccupied with their own drama to notice anything. It was almost too easy. Finally, on Friday night, I packed the last box into my car. I took one last look around my bedroom, the room I'd lived in for almost my entire life. It felt empty, not just physically empty but emotionally empty too, like all the years I'd spent there, all the hopes and dreams I'd harbored within those walls, had somehow been drained away. I grabbed my keys, took one last deep breath, and walked out of the house for good. I drove to Liam's, unloaded the last boxes, and collapsed on his couch, exhausted but strangely exhilarated. It felt like I'd just escaped from prison, like I could finally breathe again. Saturday morning, Mom called, predictably. It was early, way too early for a weekend, and her voice was tight with barely suppressed fury. Ethan, where are you? She said. At Liam's, I replied, keeping my voice calm and neutral. Liam's? She repeated, her voice rising in pitch. What are you doing at Liam's? I moved out, Mom, I said, just laying it right out there. Silence, a long, pregnant silence. I could practically hear the gears grinding in her brain, trying to process this unexpected development. You moved out? She finally stammered, sounding genuinely shocked for once. Without telling us? Just left? Yep, I said, popping the P just a little for emphasis. Consider it my official notice. I don't live there anymore. Another silence, and then the explosion. It was even more epic than I'd anticipated. Screaming accusations, guilt trips, threats, the whole 9 yards. She went on and on about how selfish I was, how irresponsible, how I was abandoning my family in their time of need, how I was breaking her heart, how I was. Well, you get the picture. It was a masterpiece of parental manipulation, decades in the making. I let her rant for a while, then finally cut her off, my voice cold and hard. Mom, I said, I'm done. I'm done with the guilt trips. I'm done with the double standards. I'm done with being your ATM machine and Mark's scapegoat. I'm out, and I'm not coming back. And then I delivered the line I'd been rehearsing in my head for days, the line that I knew deep down would truly sting, the line that was both petty and profoundly satisfying. You know what, Mom? I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Enjoy the freeloaders. I hung up, turned off my phone, and tossed it on the couch. I took another deep breath. It was done. I was free. I know, it probably sounds harsh, maybe even cruel, and maybe in some ways it was. But honestly, I don't regret it, not one bit. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was finally standing up for myself, prioritizing my own well-being over my family's endless, unreasonable demands. Yeah, my parents are furious. My mom has left approximately 1,000 voicemails, all ranging from tearful pleas to outright insults. Dad has sent a few carefully worded, passive-aggressive texts hinting at his disappointment. Mark? Radio silence, probably too busy figuring things out to even notice I'm gone. But you know what? I don't care. Let them be furious. Let them be disappointed. Let them figure out how to deal with their golden child and his freeloading family all on their own. I'm done cleaning up their messes. I'm done being their doormat. I'm done. I'm 24 years old, I have a good job, a decent amount of savings, and a whole life ahead of me. It's time for me to start living it on my own terms. It's time for me to be Ethan, not just the responsible son or Mark's overshadowed brother. It's time for me to be me.